All right, we're going.
Aloha. That's how we got to welcome all of our Hawaii podcasts. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. SANDCAST podcast with Bourne and Travis Mewhirter, sponsored by the best ball in the business, Wilson. As I just said, we're coming in this week with another Hawaii Loke and assistant coach at the University of Hawai'i, a guy who kind of helped in the development of my career, Trevor, all the Hawaii boys, by just being there, playing against us, helping put on tournaments, and really just enriching the beach volleyball community in Hawaii. Evan Silberstein, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Mahalo, Tri. Thanks to you and Travis for having me. I'm super stoked to be here. Longtime fan, and yeah, stoked to represent the 808 for all the things that are happening over here.
It's been a long time coming. We got to have our Hawaii representation. We've had a lot of Hawaii people on, but most of them don't actually live in Hawaii right now. We've had all the ex-players, the current players, but no one that's actually in Hawaii experiencing the quarantine in Hawaii, which I really wish I was doing because it sounds amazing. How's it going during quarantine out there? I know there's some waves, so it can't be too bad.
Yeah, it's summer is definitely arriving. There's some south swells have come in. There's been some fun weeks. It's kind of a pretty festive season down in Waikiki. The volleyball has kind of kicked up in the last few weeks, which has been awesome. Outriggers kind of slowly getting ourselves back open in the last week also, which has been great. People are really organized and making great decisions and getting people kind of back out on it. And we've been in the ocean enjoying that and just, taking it step by step like everyone else. But yeah, I agree. We wish you were here too, Tri. We'd be having fun with water.
For sure, yeah. I mean, everyone in Hawaii is so active. It's we were talking about earlier how they didn't even try to shut down the ocean like they did here in California, which I feel like, you would have got riots and protests probably from that. First of all, it wouldn't have worked. Like, you can't keep Hawaiians out of the ocean because they'll just go crazy.
Yeah.
But it's just such an active lifestyle there. I feel like everyone's still been outdoors, which is probably the best place to be. Obviously, you don't want to be near too many people, but you've been staying active and outdoors?
Definitely. Our season got cut short this year, so I have a lot more free time than I normally might in the last few months. That's definitely got me going in the ocean. There's some big souths that I've probably surfed some of the biggest waves of my life down there in the last couple weeks. But a couple fun days and small days, just Waikiki when it's happening, has been great. I've actually gotten pretty active on my yoga mat because it's quarantine, and I started teaching again, which I hadn't done in years. And now I'm already all the way up to starting myself a YouTube channel. We've been having so much fun. So
Nice.
It's fun to put out the yoga in the world because I think it just helps people to kind of have a broader perspective when times are tight. So, and it keeps the body loose and all the good stuff. So surfing and yoga, and then just actually played my first volley of the summer yesterday down at Outrigger. So we had kind of a under 6 foot, old guy kind of game. That was a pretty fun one too. So happy to
I
be
love it. Who played in that one? I gotta know.
Oh, so it was a big four, man. It was coming for a while. It was Billy Pratt and Stu Chong, Stanford national champion, versus me and Danny Alvarez. So the Filipino and the Jew came together. We took it down. So Danny and I have a lot of experience coaching together with the Bows. We've had a lot of success. So we were having fun, just, keeping the mojo flowing between us. And we got it down versus those guys. So we're grateful for their competition. And we look forward to some more games coming up in the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
Those games are just so good. When I see those, I just show up and sit on the bench. I don't even need to watch. Just listen to the dialogue, and it's all time.
Yeah, there's a lot of banter. Travis, did you get down for any games down there when you're there at Outrigger? Kind of see the whole kind of world?
Got down. I was there for some pretty sloppy ace. It went downhill pretty fast, and then we hung out for some dinner. I went out. I think I got lunch with Tri's dad.
Oh yeah.
And it was hilarious because actually when I was in Hawaii for the first time, that was when you and Gabby had like just gotten pregnant, and your dad was
Just
like, he was like, don't, just Gab. He was like, don't tell Try, but I'm not supposed to tell anyone. But they're having a baby. And I was like, and then you called like 10 minutes later, and I was like, you're having a baby? Like, I tried to act surprised.
Yeah,
I remember that.
that sounds like your dad. Try's dad was a longtime volunteer in our program. Also, we worked together for about 5 years. He's an amazing event organizer, just a world-class volunteer. What he gave to our program was amazing, but I know he's like me, and we like to just talk. So I'm sure he was pretty fired up, and he had to tell something.
For sure.
So, but I haven't seen any real games go down at Outrigger yet. Just I did see a couple of the Groms on the baby court, and they were chattering a little bit. I can see why all the Hawaiians tend to be the louder ones on the AVP.
I think it's a playful spirit for sure, and just the Tri-Nos, the way the club can teach volleyball is it's not like anything I've ever seen in any other place. I came as a guest there for a long time when I used to play against Tri and Trevor and Taylor and the Shojis. And I mean, there's a long list of guys that are all really celebrated now. And I was always a guest. And people always made me feel really welcome when I was there. And you got to celebrate volleyball. And that's, for me, why it was such a kind of a cool opportunity to play against those guys. Because I kind of knew what I was watching. They were all coming, whether it was high school, college, juniors, the decorations were kind of adding. You just see the volley. Everyone was so talented. So it was fun to, compete in 2-on-2, in 4-man Daddy Haynes style. So it kind of blends the talent so people can work together. And then we also would do a really cool tournament, which I wish more places would do, which is an open junior. So you kind of, I was like an old guy, and we get to play with kind of younger guys to, versus other old guy, young guy combos. And that was just amazing kind of teaching ground. I think we would just play the whole tournament, so everyone kind of got better playing against each other and just having super fun and a lot of chatter, even in the open junior games. Chatter is real. So those kind of things, I think I feel grateful to kind of have watched them and continue to watch everyone now, but to get to have competed in that kind of environment, I think it's a real outrigger thing that it can teach the game across generation like that, and people learn. It just pushes the level right up.
The way you talk about Hawaii and just volleyball in general, I think, and then like you're doing yoga and maybe starting a yoga YouTube channel. I think the last thing I would guess is that you were a New York native and a lawyer. What happened to you?
This is true. Yoga and Hawaii are things that I need this is the medicine that got called out for me in my life, because I had so much energy growing up and so much aspiration and kind of inspiration to want to kind of take on the world in volleyball, just in life. As I figured things out, I think I learned how to relax because I had to.
Yeah.
And kind of coming into beautiful environments, coming into places where I could really do what my dream was, and whether I was involved with volleyball or wellness or just, supporting Hawaii. I mean, I did go to school out here and learned a lot about local politics and local environment, that kind of stuff. So the things I was most passionate about became things like Hawaii and beach volleyball. And so those are just, like I said, it's what I most needed to do. I always, everyone in Hawaii asks where you're from. Once in a while I go, Sachem High School. And they go, where's that? Trying to, what? Like, New York. It's not from here. So I am from New York. I'm proud of that. But yeah, I'm grateful to kind of have the Hawaiian heart going, and this place has welcomed me in. People like Try's dad, like Outrigger, the Crab family, there's so many others that have made it easy or easier to be here and get to do what we do. So I feel grateful for that.
For our listeners, Evan's an assistant coach at Hawaii. Do you think that you could kind of give us a run of how you got to Hawaii, just a little bit of a background? Because like we discovered that you're from New York, went to school out in Hawaii, but how did you end up kind of making it a full-time thing? And obviously, like you love Hawaii. And how can you not? But
yeah, it's a good question. Like when I was playing against all of Try and Trevor and Taylor, and they were all developing in high school into early college, I was in school. I was in law school here. So I really was on a path, and I wanted to serve in the Hawaiian community. I wanted to figure out things to do that weren't really tourist based, so I could, and that's inspired me for school. So that it also kind of scratched the itch for volleyball. I was like, this is great. I can go to school and play tournaments and train, and it kind of like balanced out my lifestyle even when I was in school. So that really gave me the dose of what Hawaii volleyball was really all about at that time in my life. And I did practice for several years in law. And what happened was, I guess I saw the writing on the wall that was happening with NCAA volleyball. And I was like, man, I'd love to go back and coach. That's really what would be my dream now. And so I started looking, and the way it turned out, I just ended up leaving my practice after a couple of years on the Big Island, and came back and did some coaching with Kevin Wong and his summer stuff here on Oahu. And it was the beginning of my coaching career in earnest. And that was probably in 2012 when he was doing the Olympics. I think it was his first Olympics in 2012. So we were running all the stuff here, and I just got inspired as what I wanted to do. And that ended up parlaying me all the way back to the Bay Area, because the gig with Kevin, the winter came and I had to kind of do other stuff. And I ended up in the Bay Area where my family's at. And as part of that, I started coaching as a volunteer at the University of San Francisco with Gilad, who's now at Dartmouth, and Eyal. Eyal's another guy that we played with so much out here. Zemet, Dr. Z, the Zorro. He's a good player, man. He was really fun to play against, and we were friends. So he got me in as a volunteer assistant at USF like 2013, 2014. And with a guy named Dancer Styles, I opened up a beach volleyball club in Marin and got that going for a few years. It's still happening now, Bay Area juniors volleyball, and just kind of got that part moving. And then when Scotty Wong went over to Pepperdine, Shoji called Jeff Hall, the head coach now on the beach, and said, "Would you want to come over from the men's side?" And Jeff was coaching with Charlie Wade. Jeff's actually coached on the men's side, the women's side, and now also on the beach. So he kind of switched over from men's volleyball to beach volleyball. And the first thing he did after that call was call me.
That's awesome.
And he said, "Evan, I got a job for you. Let's go." And I said, "All right, here we go, Bose." And that's been 6 years. It's been a good run since then. And the whole game has changed. We went from AVCA to NCAA. We've celebrated All-Americans. We made Sunday at NCAAs a couple of times. We're close. We're still shooting for it. But it's been some really deep, fun runs in Alabama and Big West championships. And it's been great. So I got a lot of reason to be happy about being out here, because we've had success and I get to do what it is that I really love to do. So that's awesome.
Yeah. That's such a cool story. You went from like practicing law, and then I assume your first step with San Francisco was a volunteer, or were you paid assistant?
Coaching wise was a volunteer. Yeah.
Okay.
Cause it was just the two, and they started that little West Coast conference.
Yeah.
So all was the assistant on indoor. So I was a volunteer. And that's when I was kind of doing the yoga hustle too. I kind of had to. So I started coaching. I started actually teaching stand-up paddle yoga.
I remember that.
That's awesome.
Several years, that was the reality, was hustling paddle yoga, paddling yoga, coaching the club in Marin, which was a fun labor. And we started going. Santa Cruz was just blowing up with juniors, and it was that moment when in juniors California was just. I mean, it's the saddest thing about this year for beach volleyball is the youth taking the break, because the momentum has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
So each one of those years, we saw it even up there in NorCal a lot, where it kind of I was like, I got to be a part of this. So I just kept going in the passion zone and survival zone, and now I'm out here still in the passion and survival zone. I get to do it in Hawaii.
Seems like a good place to live.
Yeah, it's a really nice place to live. So that, and I live in the valley in Manoa, and I've got my electric bike. I get to commute down to campus and get to
see the rainbows, documenting the rainbows coming through the valley.
A lot of bows in the valley, for sure.
Makes sense.
It's
do you, because I know you're obviously so into like, mindfulness, yoga, all that great stuff, and stuff that I've also gotten into over the last few years. Are you implementing that at all? Because I mean, mindfulness alone is becoming so big in sports. Any high level programs implementing it to some level or to some extent. Are you kind of doing that with your girls out there in Hawaii?
Yeah, they're good questions. And there's different ranges of it where it can access. Mindfulness is probably one of the, it's complex, but it's easy to broach in some ways because everyone understands, like you said, it's such a big part of the game. People want to figure out what's going on. Over the years, sometimes it's been, each group is different relative to their receptivity. Implementing something against the collective will of the women that we coach is not something that I get too involved in very often, but suggesting things that that can work, and then leading people further down that road. So things like visualizations, a lot of pre-game day visualizations, things like that. I'll do little recordings and kind of like get them into their ear as we go. And it might be something simple like just walking themselves through like a beautiful side out in the game, and then watching, the last point happen and they go to celebrate and they feel that feeling of joy and elation. So it tends to be brief and not like too loaded of an exercise, but I try and make it accessible where even those that maybe are not as sort of steeped and ready to want to take that on are at least like open to hearing it. So I try to open the door for them with stuff like that. And so that's an example of some stuff we've done that I think is useful. And just a lot of imaging and languaging. How do we build our language in the program? How we talk to each other, how we message each other, things like that. So I try and lift it up, send them positive inspiration also, just to keep their minds focused on, they're just their highest. We have a lot of really motivated student athletes. So it's up to me to kind of meet them at their inspiration a lot of the time.
Yeah. I feel like that's a super good, just way to go about coaching is like seeing what they're receptive to. I've had coaches who are really good at that, and also coaches who are trying to kind of push what they think all the time rather than kind of customizing it to who you are and where you're at in your career and all that. So I think that's pretty cool that you're like, even though it's like fully your thing and you probably apply it when you're playing and see benefits, it's more like, how can I apply some of this to you guys? And,
yeah,
maybe one person wants 90% of it, but the other one needs like 10.
Yeah, it really is true. And that's kind of more the art side of coaching, where it's relating to, the athlete and finding a way to help them get to their potential. And it's rife with trial and error at times for sure. But good intention, consistency, respect, when those values are like infused in the communications, it tends to find a way to kind of help lead people further, even if mistakes get made as we figure it out.
For sure.
I feel like as an athlete, it's probably pretty easy to respond to you because the old saying, that gosh, I forget what the exact wording is, but that they won't really listen until they know how much you care, or that they won't care how much you know until they know how much you care type thing. But you're so passionate about it, and it's like it'd be impossible to miss it. So I feel like you probably do a really good job of relating with the girls early on, where it's not like a contentious coach-player relationship where like, I'm telling you to do this. It's just like, hey, like, here's what I'm feeling. You can try it if you want. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can kind of strike up a quick rapport with your
Yeah.
athletes?
Yeah, it's a great observation, and building that rapport, Travis, I mean, as you guys know, is a critical piece. It's a learning process for me also. And I do believe that initial rapport is often found there. Developing rapport takes, I think, a range of techniques. It's always gonna, there's also, discipline, and there's also sometimes tough love, and there's also other pieces that go in. But yeah, the players always know that I care. And I think it's a good foundation for wanting to give feedback and learning the types of feedback systems that work better for, some student athletes really want to get grinded and need to hear it every moment. Others need it in breaks. Others need it at, over video or in a timeout. So learning like communication styles and systems definitely, takes some time, but it's definitely valuable, and it's been useful for me. And obviously I've coached with Danny, I coach with Jeff, and we have Ari now too, as a former player. So having other coaches to coach with too, I think sometimes that you trust and that can do a good job, frees us up to kind of play different hats at times too. So when you're by yourself, it's a little harder because you got to do all. But if you have a staff and there's a bunch of people, then it gives us more opportunities to kind of build on our strengths.
For sure. And I got to see a lot of that firsthand over the years. Because, I mean, we come back to Hawaii and we always call up Evan, can you get us in at UH?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, can you run our practice? And so we're giving you the full keys to the car. And then other practices, we have Jose's there, right? Like, so this last offseason, Jose's here, and Evan still shows up for us, but he's sitting there listening to Jose and letting, helping him run his practice. And then we have you just randomly we throw you into the fire and have you sit in our box at AVP, a team that you like, you know us well, but you haven't been at our practices all year up here in California. And you, kind of morphed into that position well and just kind of gave us what we needed. You threw out stuff for us to take or leave, and you were kind of good with it. And yeah, that's a huge skill, being able to adapt like that.
Yeah, it malleability. I'll note those Jose practices. It's awesome for me because I want to learn. So I love to coach, but it's like if this is what he's doing, I can be there and figure that out, and also be able to get his rhythm, which is definitely fast and intense, and it was fun to see some of that.
Brazilian.
Brazilian fully. So it's fun to see that and see how that's working for you guys and things I can add to my style and compliment from him. And yeah, getting in the box with you guys, that's like a dream. It's so fun to be in that stage with you guys, and watching your development and get to be in these big moments with you. And
we didn't know what we were doing on defense.
We beat Phil. It was good. We made the semi. We beat Phil and Nick. We made a semi, which was we handled business. It was third at home, so it wasn't the win we were going for, but the third place felt pretty good on some of the wins on main court, and it's fun to see the pace of the game keep developing. The men's game just keeps getting higher and faster and quicker, and it's harder to coach in some ways than women, just because the speed is different and what we can see, the ability to really see things. And as the women's game, it's just more technical and a little bit less explosive. Not to say that it's not explosive, because it is.
Right.
It's the men's game is fun, but it's moving fast. The women's game is fun, and it's just a little more strategic. So maybe more room for coaching there.
Yeah. For sure.
Dude, not a bad start to your pro coaching career, beating Phil in the debut.
Oh, yeah.
That ain't bad, Ev.
Yeah, I got a couple of W's on him playing too also, so I like to make sure that we never play again. So all the way back to like 03, 02. So I got a couple in there too, and I'm just grateful that he doesn't come to Dinosaur. Partner, then he can call me for sure, but hopefully I don't have to run into him again. I'll take the W's all the way for a while.
Dude, Phil would be, he's got the age factor now, and he's still a giant.
Well, Phil, if you need a local guy here on Oahu, you let me know. I'll be ready.
Yeah, what's the age? 80? You guys are clear.
I'm gonna be old.
Oh, that'd be a joke.
Yeah, what up? How old are you, Ev? If you're trying to put a dyno team together. 44.
So if people are out there looking, I am local. The only issue is that we're always in season, so we missed the hosting. So I played a couple of years. I played with Krabby actually a couple of years back when it was on Oahu, and then my buddy Kenny. We went over to Kauai once, but ever since like 5, 6, once I started coaching at UH, sadly I've had to been out. Eventually I'll get old enough to retire, then I'll go and I'll be really old. Hopefully I can get a really
me and you, Evan.
Yeah, I'll be ready for try when we're both retiring. It'd be great.
I'm 31 this weekend, so
we're getting close. Couple more years, man. That's a dream come true. I'll put the math. So 31 and 44. We need like maybe 3 more years. So like, how about after 2024, after the Olympics or something like that?
I would love to. I haven't been able to play in the dyno. Never played.
All right, I'm on the list, man. That's a dream. So we'll get that one done for sure.
Love it.
Dude, Hawaii's got some iconic tournaments. The dyno is a bucket lister, I feel like, for pretty much everyone. I've heard legends about this Daddy Hayne 4-man. And then we had the AVP stopping there a lot of times. What I'm really curious, like with how big Hawaii beach volleyball culture is, there weren't that many fans at the actual event. Like Sunday ended up being crowded. But why do you think it was like a little bit on the emptier side? Because I was surprised. I was expecting like the place to be mobbed. Was it just like a weird location?
No, I mean, we're in Waikiki and it's not really like a local spot unless you're really going for something. So the tourists tend to take over the immediate area.
Okay.
What we deal with here is that a lot of the great, fans that come over to stand sheriff, a lot of them are more like kapuna, they're seniors, elders. And so it's hard to get people down to the beach. It's a big load. They got to get all their stuff and get all the way down. So it is
aunties want to make lays and hair and everything.
So I think that's a little bit part of it. Also, and different days, different moments, it'll really fill in at Waikiki, where it is a kind of mix of tourists and locals, visiting teams. We tend to get a lot of visiting families that will come also. So yeah, it's not the huge. I don't think it meets the AVP crowds and stuff like that. But even over there, I think that maybe is what you're noting. It's hard to get people behind, Hilton Hawaiian Village. It's not that easy of a place for locals to access always. And they're doing other stuff on the weekend, or their kids are busy, and, people working 3 jobs and just kind of doing Hawaii stuff.
I feel like the Hawaii fan base, it's like Hawaii doesn't have a professional sports team. So the University of Hawaii is everything for us. And they want to go and cheer on the university, and like the teams that are representing them specifically. And I mean, beach, we kind of represent those teams, us Hawaii boys, but we're there once a year. They don't, and like not in the news that much. And I just feel like people don't really connect to beach volleyball quite like they do. Definitely don't like they do to university. Like if UH has a big win, men or women, indoor, that's the front page of the paper. Yeah. For us, we got to go like maybe win the Olympics to do that.
Yeah. I think, Try, you've got a good beat on it right there, because you've represented it, as someone who came from here and as someone who's away, but also represents it. Indoor definitely sort of rules the mind over here, the collective fan. People do love UH. They definitely love beach volleyball, but they're just not as sort of in it. We don't get the nightly TV. We might do 1 or 2 broadcasts a year, and people really celebrate those when they do come. And then if we make usually our runs in the conference championship in Alabama, people really like that because it's on ESPN and they can watch it on TV. So I think viewership for that kind of thing, when we can get the times right, actually comes up quite a bit because people can watch it on the AC, and it's Hawaii representing in Alabama. So our local TV rep is kind of in some ways better than, the live down at the beach, Trav, because they just folks, it's a little harder to get and stay at the beach for some of our community. And but it's also on us. I think it's an area over time that I want to get high school going out here in Hawaii. I think it's a big deal to get there. And we got some private schools that are always kind of maybe talking a little bit, but if we could even get it in public schools, it'd be amazing. And I think that would be a great big groundswell for a lot of the indoor coaches that their kids play and they start playing beach and they see it a little bit more at that level. So hopefully we can, build some youth sport. We got great clubs going, but hopefully high school someday that would help boys, especially here. I mean, how cool would that be? Boys high school beach volleyball in Hawaii would be the best thing that ever happened to USA volleyball. That's what I think. Serious. You guys look at it.
When you look at the guys who came out of Hawaii, you're not kidding.
Real thing. And Try knows there's plenty of athletes that have passed, done other stuff. These guys are the studs, and you watch a lot of local kids sometimes that are just phenomenal. That, either go to indoor or they go to football or they do other things. But, if we had high school volleyball here for boys, I think it'd be a really exciting long-term thing in our state to grow some of the knowledge base for beach volleyball particularly.
Yeah. And the talent that didn't end with us. There's definitely some serious talent in these kids that are there right now. I think probably the Haynes and that whole crew, they're all juniors, seniors in high school now?
Some of them are coming up right now. Noah's probably getting pretty close to a senior. Riley's a little bit younger. I get to coach those guys. It's the fun part of my job is I get to coach kind of Try, and then in the same tournament I'm coaching the little Haynes at AVP juniors.
And they're the kids that were up at Outrigger, up in the stands, 4 or 5 years old, yeah, go.
Yeah. And there's others, there's definitely others that are coming up. So, those guys and others, they get hungry about it. And now really I get to coach in the girls program. with Leah Young, and it's pretty awesome to watch what's developed down there on the women's side. It's a new thing, and I think it's a new thing for outrigger maybe in the last 5+ years. But it's pretty exciting to watch some of the student athletes, the potential student athletes going up and out and having great experiences at the next level also. So it's fun to watch the girls get also.
That's something I always think about is like, when are we going to get it's so interesting how many guys we've gotten on the beach, and there's been so many great indoor women's volleyball players, but we haven't really had, besides Leah, or since Leah, we haven't really had any girls consistently coming out to the pro tour. And I always wonder why that's the case.
Yeah, I think scholarships have a lot to do with it on the indoor side, because here we don't really have year-round beach because there's no high school and because kids are really committed to the club stuff. And they've been going for a while. They're invested, and the ones that are good enough end up being liberos or setters or the couple of outside hitters, that Adora Anai from Utah. I mean, just beautiful volleyball players that have come up and out, and I think they gravitate more towards indoor. Like you said, it's more what's on kind of the menu here for people. So on the women's side, we have a lot of Olympians that have gone there, all Americans that have kind of spread out, but less in the beach. But hopefully more and more. I think we're seeing some the girls that are the product of this last couple year generation start to get some beach only opportunities. And that's, I think, pretty cool. Hopefully we'll have a couple, go up the ranks.
I would love to see a Hawaii girl step into the players tent here pretty soon at a pro event.
Yeah. For now, we get to celebrate the UH ones. We got some pretty good ones coming off hanging out with you guys now. So those people really people will celebrate, anyone who's got a Hawaii tie. So Katie Feeler is like, people know Katie. No one's 100%. Ever forgotten. So, I mean, and Carissa Cook, she was only here 1 year, but left a big mark. And, so Brittany Teagues, Britt is, one and only Brittany Teagues. She's fun to coach. Lots of different players doing different things that, have come through our program. And I think that's probably, the closest to the pro tour from Hawaii.
I think, I wouldn't be surprised to see Amy Ozzie making a couple main draws here soon. And she's Hawaii native, right?
Yes. Amy is Seabury Hall, Maui. And she's a highly motivated young woman that has, tremendous athleticism and drive and just put so much into our program. So yeah, I think she's on her way up, and there's a few others that are on their way out right now. We sadly lost Julia over to SC, but I think her make an impression like not many have seen before. Ultimately, before she's done, and Morgan Martin was 4 years here as an All-American also, and she's gotten a couple of AVPs even in high school. So yeah, I think she's probably on her way up also.
Yeah, and then I mean, Maya Hanneman too. I mean, she was balling with Julia earlier this year. I wouldn't be surprised to see her making a couple too.
The family blood is strong. Yes, it is. We're grateful. We recruit sometimes on pieces like that. Albie played here. Moofy's here. We've got connections to Hannemans here that go deep. And so it's fun to bring legacies back and give those players, those people, those student athletes the chance to shine. And those are people that sometimes Tri-Nos will captivate the imagination in Hawaii. Is like when a player can start to do something really special, people notice. And that gets celebrated also too. So whether it's Maya or someone else, we're excited for what they can do.
Yeah, I always think back, I'm super grateful for my path, but I always think back like, man, if UH would have recruited me more or the right way, it would have been fun to stay home and play and represent your home state. Cause I mean, you get taken in there by the whole state. It's not just the university. Obviously I'm super grateful, and I learned so much lessons going to a big university like USC, and you do get a little not in fever. Like I never wanted to leave Hawaii, but you're like, I got to go experience this thing, this college life at this big university. But man, I always think about it. Like if I could have stayed home and played for UH, there's
Yeah.
just like this cultural tie that happens there that I feel like is unmatched by any other.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to believe that any other school or state can really match that in the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a great beat on it. I know your dad was a football player there at UH. I'm sure he would have been proud to see that happen, but Stan Sheriff is magic, and the fans of Hawaii, and just I think your point on, and so we're grateful for those those that do come and do it. You would have been pretty amazing for sure to be here, but as you said, a lot of the top athletes or just volleyball players often end up wanting to take off and get that new experience. So, we're grateful for someone like Amy who stayed home and made it great here. So that makes it kind of neat when kids do stay home, but we wish the local ones that go away, they're our next favorite after the Bows. We always love them too. Sometimes come back and play grad school years also too. Like a Carly Kahn. Carly Kahn is another one that's going to come up if this gets back, because she's really fantastic, and she played Missouri for indoor. Was a girl that we played some beach when we were young, but not when she was younger, but not a ton. And then she came back and she had 2 seasons. She was fantastic. So I think it's always good to let them fly, and then come back. They can play their grad school with us. That's good too.
Oh, I wish I could have done that.
Yeah, we wish we had volleyball for guys.
That would have been sick. Come back for my 5th year, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect way to kick off my beach volleyball career.
That's the way the girls get to do it. So there are, we've had that before with some local ones, and hopefully we'll have that again in the future. It's a neat thing for everybody.
Can you imagine if we had men's when like we were in college, me and Riley out there, and man, it would have been so fun. I feel like a lot of people didn't get the experience that we got growing up, like playing in these tournaments you're talking about. Like I still think my win at the Daddy Hayne when I was in, like, I want to say junior or senior in high school, that's still like the biggest win of my career. Just in terms of like, I won like a huge tournament with everyone I look up to, and it kind of gave me the confidence to take the next step. And then that step gave me the confidence for the next one. So it was like a huge foundational win for me.
Yep. You stay on the wall there for forever now.
Now Trevor's on there, Riley, Maddie, they're all on there. So I'm like, damn it. You got to one up them. And now Trevor's on the pier, so that's like.
Yeah, that's a whole different story, yeah.
We're never going to hear the end of that. No one is.
We'll hear that one forever.
Ev, I mean, how much have you seen? Because like you mentioned, you've been with Hawaii since 2014, right?
Yeah, I think we started my first competition season in 2015.
Okay. But how much have you seen that grad transfer rule change things? Because now, you mentioned Julia Scholes going with SC. I mean, that's a huge get for Dane over there, because a pretty young team over there. Now he gets this veteran with this just cannon of a jump serve, and I'm sure you guys have probably picked up a few, but teams are like, it completely alters the landscape, the way that, when teams can pick someone up.
It really does. Julia's different in that she's a beach transfer grad, but this year particularly kind of threw that up for a lot of others. I think Lynn Dahl from Cal went to LMU. Yeah. There's movement, within beach to beach. Tori went to Florida State. So there's changes this year that we haven't seen. That's all brand new, and that's partly because of what just happened with COVID and the rest. With grads generally, I mean, we had Carissa Cook. I mean, that's a pretty one to start off. And we've had others come through. Like I mentioned, Carly, I think, was a big success. And Hawaii's always kind of been second chance U for a lot of people. We get transfers, we can get grads. Athletes get a little more mature. Their recruiting philosophy about what they need or want changes. Hawaii becomes very attractive to a lot of people. So we've been able to have success. Heather Boyan, I know some of you guys may know with her. She does like FCS and or fellowship Christian athletes, and she's just a tremendous student athlete from Western Kentucky that came over, and she enriched us with her volleyball and her character. So with the grads, you get maturity and experience. We had Fitterer from Michigan State, and they bring all of this rich, really high level indoor experience over. And it helps because sometimes the beach, girls, the freshmen that are young and they're just kind of developing to have that kind of maturity and that kind of like go for it attitude that indoor brings at a collegiate level, especially. It helps with intensity and it helps with maturity. So, and then just results, getting players that can play at a high level once you kind of train properly to the beach. Brittany Howard, I think, is one of the biggest ones from Pepperdine. Probably the bigger grad impact players. She came and played at 2 with a pep team that made a good run. And it was just, you could just tell she was going to be great from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, Brittany hadn't really played much beach at all. And then the first time I saw her play, she played in the USA event with the Collegiate Beach Championships with Corinne Quiggle.
Oh, yeah.
And they were up like 6-1 on Sarah Hughes and Kelly Clays. And I was like, I thought these girls were like untouchable. And then, Brittany Howard just bombing away. I was like, damn.
Yeah, no, that was a good team. We played a lot against both Quiggle and Howard, and obviously a lot versus Hughes. I think we brought Sarah and Kelly. The SC came here 5 times. We played them 5 times in 1 year. So lost we got a bunch of points, but we lost all the duels.
Yeah.
But that was kind of how they would go. They'd cat and mouse people at that time, and they would make runs. But I'm pretty sure that Sarah and Kelly persevered at the end of that one. But Quiggle and Howard was a really good team, and Howard could jump, and Quiggle was the right side on the 2 ball a little bit more than I was used to. I still remember that, but we eventually tried to figure that out. But great players and great impact.
Me and Tri were like just talking about this the other night. That, I mean, obviously Sarah and Kelly were and are incredibly talented, but do you think that the college game is too deep to see a team dominate quite like that again? Because what they did was they won like 3 matches in a row.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Really good, and I think they're at a stage in the development of the game where they maybe had a little bit of that upper edge on physicality. They had the benefit of a lot of some USA summers that went together. So to have 2 athletes that were playing in concert with each other at such a high level. Hard to say, but I think domination is possible with recruiting. And when pressure comes up, when you build teams, and you have teams around them. That was Sarah and Kelly were made strong by Nicolette at 3. They were made strong by Sophie and Alexa at 2. They were made strong all over that lineup. So, and that gave their confidence kind of led down, So I think a dominant pair would probably have to come from a dominant program. Because otherwise so much pressure to be so great on top. Someone's going to figure out, because all they got to do is recruit. All they have to do is scout at 1, because the only place you're really dangerous is there. But when you have 5 deep and you're like, people are like throwing in the towel versus Clays and Hughes after a while, it got a little messy with people were moving teams and all the rest. You'd see it because they kind of knew what was coming. So it was a juggernaut. And I think if there was a juggernaut program, which will be difficult, then maybe you could see a juggernaut 1, but not currently. I mean, everyone was losing last year, Trav. I mean, our one's court in Hawaii, everyone beat each other last year pretty fast. So it's getting more even. I think you're on point with it even, but I wouldn't rule it out that a team could come in and dominate. Maybe a grad like you're talking about. I mean, I don't want to say, but I don't want to play Harvard and Scholes or something like that. That's going to be a really good team. So there's others with that level, maybe of athleticism and graduate level. They're 22, 23-year-olds that are ready, but you only get 1 year that way. So at least it's only going to last for a while.
Right. Dude, you guys, I missed the Hawaii event this year, but that was an awesome event. I mean, you guys had UCLA, LSU, just like beating the crap out of each other the whole time.
Yeah, we did. Stanford was there too. I just got a note from Coach Fuller saying he felt like it was the national championship out there. The energy was so high. So the way the season turned, it kind of had that kind of feeling to it. Queens Beach Tribe knows is we are proud of our home events, and what we can put together with teams out there, with athletes out there. The players, most of the top players on the AVP tour now have played there, Kelly Larson and Sarah Sponsel and Hughes, and they've all come through. So it's neat to have that kind of history for the Sambos, to have played against all the, the emerging greats, that because we get to play them in college. So it's pretty fun.
And you guys packed it too. You brought a lot of fans out there at Queens the year that I
Yeah.
was there. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun down there, you know, and it's that Duke tournament. We try and celebrate the Duke tournament as our opening one every year. So Duke Kahanamoku, who's an Olympic swimmer for Hawaii, and he's just this great legend. So he was also a volleyball player, a beach volleyball player. So we named our first tournament after Duke, and we're grateful for him. And it's just fun to kind of get that aloha going. We still give awards. They're the only ones doing that, I think. So Danny and I get together, or now Ari and I get together, and we start, you know, polling and figuring out who's going to be the best blocker. We gave Sponsel best attacker one year. She was slamming balls when she was a freshman. She was running to the net with Betsy as a freshman. Sarah
and she was at LMU.
Block at LMU with Betsy in the back.
It's a good team.
That was probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So they made a nice run in ABCA too. But yeah, just fun memories like that. And, you know, yeah, good fun, Aloha style, Queens Beach.
Yeah, it's a good tournament. I was actually, I practiced with Katie Spieler this morning, and she brought something up that I got to ask you about. She brought up Evan's Vaagen van.
Oh, the Vaagen. Yeah. Katie was amongst a group that were turning. This is part of, like Tri was asking earlier about mindfulness, nutrition. Yeah. Pushing nutrition is a really challenging one on college age women. They come from different backgrounds, different socioeconomics, different performance perspectives. So finding the right spot is something. And then we always kind of ended up with names for our vans. Sometimes it was a playful thing. And Katie made the transition over into the vegan Vaagen because we were just hitting orders, and we had a German on the team at that time, so it had kind of she was vegetarian, so we came up with a playful name to get it, and Katie was in on it. She was eating good, and you know, Katie was fun. She was great in her senior year, watching her play, but just mature even as an adult into her personality and into her freedom, and it was fun to kind of watch her and guide her on some of those steps. She's one of a kind in our program.
I bet her and Maglio were a pretty fun team to have.
Oh yeah, it was fun. Yeah, you should ask Katie about when we tried to talk her into doing it. She wasn't so sure yet about Mags, but she freaking loved Mags in the long run. So I said, Katie, this is like your Phil, you know? I was like, this is Phil, I'm telling you. She's like, and I'm like, Katie, like, we're gonna do this. And then once it started, and Maglio's effort and her length and just her humility really combined well with Katie, and they played some really fun volleyball.
Yeah, and for reference sake, for the listeners who don't know Ellie Maglio, she's like, 6'4", jumps really well, hand sets butter, was unreal on the indoor team, is going to the Olympics for Canada, I think.
I don't, all that except hand setting butter. I don't know, Maglio, Travis is talking you up, but
dude. The first time I saw her, she was just dishing. I was like, who is this girl?
She's got some soft hands, and she's one of the best blocking athletes that I've ever seen at the beach. She can create angles that are definitely international level blocking. And so she's on the indoor team. She made the transition. She came back and played a 5th year with us, which was awesome from indoor. Another kind of grad story, but she was in-house grad. She stayed her 5th and played. Did halftime Canadian national team indoor, came back, played with us in the spring, went back to Canadian national team, and is now, thriving. You know better than I do, Trav, whether they're on the course to the Olympics. I'm not sure if they qualify, but she's definitely on the national team and getting great repetition there. Hopefully someday she'll transition to the beach and play with Canada, maybe after an indoor Olympic cycle. But really tremendous athlete, and just hardworking and humble. And just really powerful legs, really strong and long. Fun to coach.
Not a bad national team to be joining at this point.
Yeah. I always thought that maybe one of the days will come, maybe one of the McNamara's, will break off and grab Maglio. I thought that might be a really great team in the long run.
Be a good team.
But maybe after this cycle, I know the sisters have a lot of great success. We got to play against them a lot. So I watch them a lot. I have so much respect for their games, but it'd be fun to see one of them get next to Maglio and use their beach savvy to improve her and use her length at the net to kind of highlight their stuff. I think that's my Team Canada pick for
Dude, there's a ton of Canadians playing really well at the college level. Like, I feel like the U.S. college pipeline is just like the Canadian national team training center.
Yeah, they're doing well on our scholarships for sure. And we've done it. We've built the pipeline here. We've had success with some. Others, it's not always a great fit. They got to find what they need. But yeah, there's a lot of Vukovic had a great career at SC, and I think she went right up. She's probably next in line in the FIVB behind some of the top girls or women that they have now. But yeah, others in college now that are pretty good. They're going to be good. Canadians over in Toronto.
Yeah.
They do
you guys had Leah Monkhouse too, right? She's Canadian.
Monkey is Canadian. Yeah. Another one
Okay.
from Toronto. The Toronto athletes particularly are, I think, really motivated because the training center is there. So it's spilled off in their community, and they had all the old school guys built it up there. I played a pro tournament in Toronto in like 98 or 99.
Nice.
He's, some of those guys, John Child and, some of the old school guys have been really big in Toronto volleyball. And that's kind of how they got it going as their national circuit. I think that the legacy of Child and Heath lived on in Toronto and made it a big imprint. So that the young kids coming from there are really motivated to beach volleyball. Magley is from BC. I think the Macs are from BC. So those are West Coast athletes. We had Monkhouse, and she had a great, she won 34 games with us here. So she had a great year here, and she's going to have a good career at UCLA. And we've got a couple actually coming in right now from Toronto that are NLI'd that are pretty exciting. So it's going to be fun to see some new Canadians. Sambo's coming up this year.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be so cool for you as a coach just to watch all these athletes. I mean, you mentioned that all the stars of the pros today have come through Queens, but you guys have produced a lot of stars of your own. It's got to be cool for you to just watch them go on and to have tremendous careers. And I think, you mentioned Morgan Martin's probably well on her way, I think, to that stratosphere too.
Oh yeah. Morgan is a fierce competitor. And she really knows the craft and the art of beach volleyball. She hits a really kind of weird ball and can do a really nice job using the whole court. Offensively, her vision and her tap downs all over the court, I think, will translate. And her blocking got really good this year. It's been good, but she put time in it. She can really hone her focus in ways that even pushed us as coaches to kind of keep up with how much she wanted to do. But her blocking really blossomed. So yeah, I think she's on her way up, and hopefully more to follow in the long run, getting there and making big dents on the pro tour. And then the guys, for me, I get to be a witness to all of it. I stay here, everyone comes through, they come up, and I just get to celebrate their success. It's a strategy for long-term success. Be around great people.
Yeah. You got
Have you ever thought about?
What's that, Track?
I was say you got one of your Hawaii boys right here on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel grateful for those. It's part of the coaching style too, is a relationship development and wanting to, see things beyond, things take different shapes sometimes after, you grow up in a certain way, and then it looks different when you grow up or you graduate from college. It's been fun to keep up with Katie, and I've coached Katie and Carissa together. I've coached Carissa last year a little bit when she came to Hawaii. So people that I've gotten to work with and kind of continuing those relationships that feels like a gift to me. I feel fun to stay at the edge of the game like that. And I wish I could do it full time on pro too, but it just doesn't work in Hawaii. So it's fun just to kind of stay around the edges of it and, do what I can from there.
That's what I was going to say. What have you ever thought about doing pro, and what would happen if a team came and asked you to help them beyond college? Obviously, I know it's very difficult from Hawaii.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely one I've looked at. I think this last year, after working with you guys and seeing some of what I saw, I was excited about maybe looking into that after this cycle. I think everything kind of slows down now after. So I stay open. I love Hawaii. We've got nothing but praises for it, but I have come from far, and I maybe will go far again. I like the idea of maybe putting some time into the world travel that comes with the tour. I know it's a grind, but I like a lot of the ways that I can travel and be tenacious. So I'm open to those ideas. I think it'd be fun to focus down to just, two guys or a guy and a girls team, men's and a women's team, and really give the full breadth of wellness and volleyball and life, and try and bring that over to a team. So it'd be great to make an international run if it ever came up. So, I'll stay open.
Nice. Love it.
That'd be fun to if like one of your Hawaii teams started traveling FIVB and they brought you on. That's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, for sure. That would be one option, and you never know. Like I said, some of them graduate and do other things, or even go to other schools, and things come back around. We like to kind of make sure that people are treated well, and I think when you do that, and it's just up to me to stay on the edge of the game. I want to have something to offer people. So lucky I've been around as much as I have, and I can have perspective, and energy is a usually pretty easy one for me to bring to the table too. So yeah. It's fun to coach. Love to do it.
Yeah, and you can see it. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And before we let you run, I'm really curious what you think the college game is going to look like after all this COVID stuff. I don't know if you have any insider info or just any opinions of like what it's going to look like, you think?
Yeah, this year is different than any other, the one upcoming, because so many departments are braced to keep everyone safe, because many departments are braced to keep their budgets balanced. So there's a level of caution that I haven't seen coming from programs that would be sort of unexpected. So traveling restrictions, outside conferences, things like that, budget restrictions that maybe take a trip like Hawaii off the table and someone where it was on the table, things like that. A lot more regional competition. You're not going to see people flying back and forth quite as much coast to coast. You're going to see a lot more driving from teams. So you'll see, and I think as we get more confident and schedules can kind of bounce back. So there was kind of a really cautious moment. But yeah, it's just maybe less contests in some cases, some programs kind of managing down their contests, so they have to travel less. That's part of the budget restrictions. I know Big West, for us, limited roster sizes, so maybe a few less athletes getting the travel opportunities. So it's a little bit of a slow roll this year again, which is sad for beach volleyball, college of all, because our momentum was so big. I think the momentum will find ways. We'll kind of get it a forward way here where it is a little bit slower and maybe not quite as geographically diverse in this year. And then hopefully soon after that, maybe 2 years where it starts to build back up. And then by 2 years, I think hopefully, maybe a new NCAA site, maybe 5 more years of Gulf Shores. Yeah. We got plenty to look forward to. But just getting back to Gulf Shores next year is going to be a challenge. It's going to be worth it to get back down there. That kind of feeling, just because it felt just so hard this year to have.
Yeah, you guys were rolling too, man. You guys were good.
Yeah, so there's a loss. There's a real sense of loss. I think that all student athletes, all coaches in every sport, in beach volleyball particularly, we were front lines. We were ready to play. We flew to Florida, and we had Florida State and SC, and it was Stetson. We had a big weekend ahead of us, and so we were just in full game mode until it was told no. We never really got a slow roll. We were like playing. I had my scouting, and the girls were ready, and so we turned around. So it took a little time in the ocean to heal that loss. So at this point, this year, I think also, but let me flip it, Travis, and say this year, I think there's going to be a lot of gratitude for having what we have.
Yeah.
Any sport, any beach volleyball, any Instagram feed, any tournament, any Queen's moment, anything like that, I think people are going to be really reaching into and saying, yeah, this is what makes the game go. This is why we love it. This is why we do it. And I think that there's kind of a triumph element that's going to happen. I think you guys will get there too, man. When you start playing, the triumphant feeling, even in a practice or in your first competition, I think is going to be awesome. And that hopefully is something that is a spirit that goes into beach volleyball and all college athletics when it gets going again, where we can just be stoked that we're even playing. So that's my full side.
I'm already feeling it. Just getting out there on the sand, period, or getting in the water.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like down at the beach and there's other people at the beach. I'm far away from them, but I'm like, oh, this is nice. Just like, I feel like I'm hanging out with these people just because they're like around.
Little bubbles all around you.
Yeah, kind of funny.
Yeah,
but for sure. I'm already feeling that. And I mean, yeah, can you imagine when it's all all said and done and we're just back to normal.
Yep. You know, I'll spend my time visualizing you guys all up in Tokyo. That's what I'm be dreaming about for you guys. So us in Gulf Shores, I'm gonna see you guys in Tokyo.
I hope you're there.
We're hoping for it.
Exactly. Appreciate it.
Good vibes, brother.
Great, Travis. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on. Do you have any burning questions left for Ev?
No, but I got his number, and so we can chat if I come up with any.
Right on. Yeah.
Yep.
Love you have support and just I feel so grateful, Travis and you guys having me on. I love watching your show, and it's fun to just be a voice in beach volleyball and, keep things moving forward. And I put a plug in for my live yoga channel too on YouTube. Get some people out there.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I might need to jump in on some of that. I get a little caught up in the craziness right now.
Yeah.
The channel's called Live Yoga.
Yeah, they call it Live Yoga Channel. So you can find it through Facebook or it's on YouTube, and that's where I'm kind of trying to get people steered. I just started teaching a little bit on Instagram Live, and it was quarantine. I needed something to do, so I had been from practices all day and scouting and recruiting and traveling to home in the valley. So my girlfriend Tara said, all right, let's do something. So she said, we're going to go to work. We're going to start sharing this yoga that you love so much. And so it's been fun to get that part going. It's a little different, but it's fun keeping me busy in quarantine and trying to make it digestible for people so they can just access their own potential. That's the goal.
And you can jump in on it live as well, or just play back the video?
Yeah, it's live on YouTube and Facebook. So I'm with you guys. I'm learning new technology to kind of figure that out and stream it in 2 places. And when that works, that's awesome. And then I've got a library, like a playlist library of all the classes on YouTube, and I'm doing shorts, real simple, 10-minute breathing, 5-minute warm up, just some little ones that are a little bit more YouTube focused so that people can get more basics down. It's a little more digestible to have it in the small and compared to the full class. So having fun with it.
I'm gonna take you up on that.
Cool, man. Get on.
Check it out.
7 o'clock Monday, Thursdays.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Ev, thanks for coming on, man. Good to hear your voice and your little Hawaiian spirit on the show. We've had a lot of it lately. We had like Kavika, both McKibbins, then we had both McKibbins on again. We're Hawaii. We're filling up the podcast with you boys.
Can't help it.
Dry.
Can't help it.
Awesome, guys. Well, mahalo, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you. And, good luck to everyone playing beach volleyball in the South Bay again. And we'll be pulling for you and Trev, and just, keep doing what you guys are doing. Stay healthy and share the good volleyball mana. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for wearing the shirt.
Yeah, I represent.
Say hi to my dad for me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I gotta. All right, guys. Aloha.
All right. Cheers, boys.
Aloha.